We live in a society where speed is valued. Whenever technology is developed, it's often embraced as the better option for making things faster. That's why we buy the latest iPhones. It's why we shop online and we become so impatient now queuing for things. It's why we opt for next day delivery. We use contactless payments whenever we can. We find the fastest route home and we post quick comments on people's feeds rather than taking the time out to call them. But it's not just technology that's getting faster. We're chasing money, success, achievement and progress, and if we don't do it fast enough, we feel inadequate and unproductive. I've been on this ride for a long time. I was caught up in the chaotic frenzy of the fast-paced life, and I pressured myself to get to where I wanted to as quickly as possible. That was until the ride started to make me feel sick. I felt lost in my to-do list. I felt like I always had to be switched on, and I felt like every single thing that I did, including my hobbies, had to take me somewhere, otherwise it was just pointless. I knew that I had to get off the ride and stop. I began to envision a slower life, one where I could take the time to enjoy things. But the thing is, I do still value productivity. I'm still very much concerned with where I'm going, building a life that I'm proud of, and making time for the things that make me happy. And so now I've come to realise that slow living and productivity don't have to be mutually exclusive. Slow living doesn't mean that you'll fall behind. I actually think slow living can take you further. And I want to share why. Sometimes when we set new goals or habits, we're just reacting to what we see in the modern world. We get swept up in what our peers are doing, what our family expects of us, and what we see people doing online. We start doing things based on what we think we should do, or we just aimlessly move forward, not thinking about where we're going to end up and if we'll be happy when we get there. This is exactly what happened to me, and I feel like this was really the turning point in my life. I was 24 when I qualified as a dentist and realised that everything that I had worked for wasn't what I imagined it to be. And that was really the first time that I ever really stopped to think. And I think this is really common because a lot of us are busy for the sake of being busy. We don't know how else to fill our time. So in the end, everything becomes a complete blur of activities and events that we don't even know if they're what we wanted. When you slow down, you return to your body and you can actually ask yourself if you're where you want to be. I would rather go slow and spend ages navigating a path that I know I'm happy on, than rush to the end of a path that I'm not sure that I even want. We put a lot of emphasis on being busy. It's become this badge of honour, intrinsically tied to our self-worth. If we're productive, we feel good. If we're not productive, we feel like we've wasted a day. It's even become difficult to take time off. We say we're having a lazy day if we do, and if we want a holiday, we feel like we have to earn it beforehand by working even harder. But our value should not be in how productive we are. I used to really define myself by my achievements. It was a big part of my ego. It's only as I've slowed down that I've really begun to value myself for who I am and not just what I can achieve in a day. I sometimes think that people try to stay busy to feel important. But that's really sad because importance shouldn't come from work or how much of our to-do list we tick off. When you slow down, you begin to have awareness for how you contribute to your relationships. You make time to form your identity outside of work through hobbies, and you also develop self-awareness. So I've actually become more confident and more secure in myself since slowing down, and I know that confidence will take me further. I've never really liked the word productivity because I feel like it's become toxic. A lot of us are trying to do everything faster, read faster, type faster, and to have a perfect time management system to fit even more in. This is our attempt to be productive, but the problem is, those minutes that we save, we then put towards more to-dos and more work. But that's not what productivity is about. Productivity is about making time to do the things that matters, and slowing down is about enjoying the things that truly matter to us. So really the two collide in perfect harmony. When I'm rushing, my head becomes cloudy. I become clumsy, forgetful, erratic, and I make terrible decisions. I just can't think straight. And these aren't great traits to have for someone who wants to go far in life. When you slow down, you naturally become more mindful. You become more aware of all of your senses and you connect with what you're doing on a deeper level. And in doing so, you can think more clearly and make better decisions. One of the best side effects of me slowing down has been that I'm much more creative. Now that I've stopped switching from one app to the other, checking emails constantly, or scrolling through social media at lightning speed, I feel way more inspired and I tend to have greater focus. By being mindful, I've also become more aware of how I feel. I don't mean to sound dramatic, but I remember there would be times where I would start crying and feel so low and I wouldn't really know why. It's hard to know if and why you're happy, angry, sad, or tired when you're rushing and so focused on just getting somewhere. You neglect your emotions for something more practical. But when you slow down and you feel your emotions, they can actually help you go further. You've heard of the race between the hare and the tortoise, right? The hare is so confident about being fast during the race, so he falls asleep, and the tortoise, who goes slow and steady, ends up winning the race. But I think the modern day version of this tale is that the hare goes so fast that he experiences burnout and has no choice but to stop. This is the modern day problem that we have. Burnout is very real, and it's the byproduct of hustle culture. I've experienced burnout and I've come across so many people my age who have too. If you keep your foot on the pedal for too long, you're going to overheat and run out of fuel. And whilst you're out of action, waiting to refuel, you might have lost more time compared to if you went slower all along. Slowing down is the antidote to burnout. If you slow down, you're more likely to win the race. I didn't have any friends at 18, so I had this mentality where I thought, I'm just going to focus on where I'm going. It was my coping mechanism. I was trying to disconnect myself emotionally and just run away from my fears of being alone. I would rush through my journey towards my goals, just hoping for happiness. But the problem is, when you're going too fast, when you're busy and rushing, you don't stop along the way to say hi to people. If anything, I actually think you become frustrated that anyone might come in your way. Slowing down isn't just about stopping to smell the roses. It's about slowing down enough to see who's on that journey with you or who you can meet along the way. Since slowing down, I've been able to nurture and form more friendships and connection than I ever have before. I've become more open to people. And I feel like connection really does add so much value to our lives and it helps us to go further. So I hope this video is a gentle reminder that slowing down isn't actually about going slow. It's just choosing not to get swept up in the fast pace of society. It's about choosing to go at the right pace for you, and you enjoy the journey so much more when you do that. So choose to go slow, and you also choose to go far.